So we've seen posts by Little White Lies and other things they've done. What structure are we going to follow? They seem to have a certain pattern with how they write. We're going to write about 5 paragraphs.
Yeah, I think 5's a good in between, and then if we want to write any more we have the space to.
Yeah.
Whereas if we plan to write 7, then we have less room to develop.
Yeah, and I think early stages at the moment, because we've not done this yet, we should start on the lower side, and then if we do need more and we have lots to write about, we can just increase it as we go. So I think that'll be okay.
Yeah.
So
for the first paragraph, do you think we should talk about Emily as an actor or an actress, and what she's done in the past and how this is new to her, and how this genre is different compared to other things she's done?
Yeah, so we could talk about like the previous things she's been in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we maybe talk about Hannah as well, but
yeah.
I think mainly Emily because she's the like lead protagonist.
You could say kind of like what she starred in, what like kind of gave her fame, like traits of her, and like is this typical to what she normally like? Is she normally in action? Is she normally in like romance? And then you could kind of say like this is like new to her and stuff, and like it's, you know, the first role she's ever done with this type of genre, and how it's like kind of groundbreaking stuff, like it's so new.
Yeah. I think we should definitely also try and include that the fact that Emily and Hannah are sisters in real life as well as in the film, because it sort of adds to the realism. And
it makes it more heartwarming as well, because you're like, oh, they're sisters in real life, and they're also filming.
So we can kind of establish a relationship there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also think talk about us as directors, as the style that we wanted to have in the film.
Yeah, so we could say what previous work have we done, how are we like cutting edge, like what makes us stand out, what kind of do we follow, like, you know, do we do certain things with our filming, like, or are we quite, you know, typical, you know, what work have we done previously, like a summary of that.
I think discussing the director is definitely very typical for Little White Lies, so we should definitely include that.
Yeah, they've done that in quite a few posts, I think. Like, so that's quite a good route to go down. And then we could kind of include genre in, so we could say about what we've...
Is this in the second paragraph?
Yeah, and like one of the second ones or something, we could say like the genre of the film, more kind of that it's social realism and psychological, and kind of talk about that, and, you know, even like talk about like the storyline and stuff.
Yeah, I think we should have like the plot summary, briefly like describing what's happening, but without giving too much away.
Yeah, just no spoilers. That's the only thing. We've got to kind of entice them into reading without telling them.
Yeah,
and I think that could be like our like edge, because that could be like a little thing, because that we obviously the whole point of our film is very secret, like it's very secret, like we don't really know.
We don't want it to be obvious.
So you kind of got to get across that it's really kind of, you know, like mysterious or something, so it kind of makes people want to watch and also want to read the review,
to like intrigue
them.
We could also talk about representation, so the different types of kind of social groups we represent, maybe. You could talk about if we're typical to the genre that we're doing, or if we're not, like, we could say
reference other film styles and how they work.
Because wasn't it based off The Sixth Sense? That's what we were doing or something. We could talk about that a little bit, and how there might be similarities but also differences, because at the end we have a flashback or something, but we don't have to say it in those words, just the ending is very prominent for certain reasons.
So isn't that like similar to, is it Repetition and Variation? Is it Steve Neal? And we could talk about how we've repeated some genre conventions, but then we've also changed it and put our own twist into it.
And that could be like the thing that kind of comes through a lot, because it's such like a raw film, I think, that it would be really good to get across, like, it's new for the directors, new for the actresses, new for like film itself, what we're doing, and
it was quite a big experiment to do, wasn't it? So I feel like it's good to emphasise that and show how we've created this like new type of film for all of us.
Like back in the first paragraph we could put like it was an experiment or something, or it was a new thing to do, like it was like kind of hit
a bit of a gamble,
but we, you know,
I think it was pulled off.
And then third paragraph, would that be like along the same lines of genre, kind of more discussion of it, themes, like grief, depression, stuff like that coming through? We could talk
current
about
like issues that we wanted to not like really focus on, but just to have in there elements of them, so that people were aware that they're still going on.
That could link to it being like it's a new film, it's really like raw, heartwarming, it's like kind of groundbreaking in the sense that it discusses all of these, like it has all of these things in it, and you know, it's a very like new film, I guess, in that sense, with like very kind of modern 2016.
Yeah, definitely.
I think also it's a hybrid, isn't it? Because if we have like psychological factors in and then also social realism.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
It's like I, Daniel Blake, like it's very real. Like that was a very real like story. And it's kind of along the lines of that, and it's very new.
Definitely.
I think, what was that then? What paragraph?
Third.
So the fourth paragraph, we could maybe talk about the audience.
Yeah.
And how we want to entice them. And what kind of
the only thing I'd say about that is in Little White Lies, like they never really say like, we're like doing a review, we're not saying it's our film.
We're not trying to promote it, we're trying
we can't say like, oh, we want girls at college to like this film. We have to say, after watching it, I think girls at college would relate to it and stuff. I think you just try
to word it differently.
You could kind of add in like what the reviewer would think of it, so you could kind of say they liked this aspect but they also didn't go so well in this aspect, so kind of not make it very biased, very kind of like but very sharp, if that makes sense. We've really got to find points that, you know, overall kind of explain it without giving it away. And then you could kind of that's
can't
like
go into too much detail, but still give an idea.
Like it's evaluative but also it's criticism. And then like for the fifth one, that would be kind of like the final summary, so
overall
so like kind of what they think, you know, and then like the last line, like positive or negative, and then got to think about that.
I also think it's important to include like different types of language, so we want to have like sophisticated language as well as using like regular nouns and verbs and adjectives.
Like chatty.
Yeah. Because we want it to be relatable, but also
chatty but formal. It needs to kind of have that level of professionalism that it would kind of, you know,
be in the magazine.
That's cool, and show that we know what we're talking about. Educated, very knowledgeable. We have previous
and not biased for our own film.
I think that's important.
Cool. And then the rating at the end.
Do you have any idea about what you want to give it for rating?
I wouldn't be like really generous and give it a 5.
No.
Maybe 3 or 4. I'm saying. I think that's a good in between.
There's 3 different ones, isn't there?
Yeah.
It depends which.
I think that's. I'm not sure if the
I think we could give like maybe 1 4 and 2 3s, or the other way around.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
I think it's a good in the middle film. Like it's not horrible or terrible, but like also I guess
there's
you
room
could
for
always say
improvement.
there's room for improvement, or there's more you could do.
Yeah.
So I'd give it a good 3 or 4.
I think if we had a longer amount of time, we definitely could have changed it a bit, but overall I think we did very happy with it.
I'm happy with what we did, so I think it's a good in the middle one. And that also works because it's not showing like that's more realistic to a review instead of like, oh, we wrote this ourselves, we've done all of this ourselves, it's amazing. Go watch it, stuff like that. So it's more real. Cool.